Joe DeFalco in the ring, raising up the future. Got the belts, got the sweat, endless life in a suplex. Future stars, big dreams, breaking all the seams. Las Vegas stage where the spotlight beams. Arena lights flash bright, warriors of the night. Mat slams, crowd roar, showdown of the might. From the rookies to the pros, grinding day and night. Every step, every fight, honing skills tight. Future stars destined for the fame. In the ring, they'll carve their name. Blood, sweat, tears, the unending game. Joe DeFalco's legacy, they proudly claim. Body slammers and high flyers, stars on the rise, taking flights off the ropes to the skies. Arm locks, heads.
Hey everybody, Matt Michaels here on the DeFalco Files with the owner and creator of FSW, the Future Stars of Wrestling here in Las Vegas, Mr. Joe DeFalco. And Joe, happy 17th, and you're on the road to 18.
On the road, I'll tell you, it was a rough one to get through. I'll tell you that.
It was first off a really good show. I think there were a lot of things we saw that I don't think fans expected. Let's jump right in and say we got two new champions. We'll talk a little bit about the FSW championship in a little bit, but Hero or San Lu is no longer holding the Nevada State title.
No, he is not. We did an open challenge, and Brett the Threat came out, and it looked like we were going to get that match once again. And a lot of people expected it because Brett cut a promo, and he said, "I'm coming out." And then Andrew Delgado took offense. Here's a guy who's been, and I guess some cases you could say underutilized, and he wrestles all over, and it's just tough getting spots. And he took an opportunity and felt, hey, you know what? I'm putting my name in there, Brett the Threat. You came back from California and you've been gifted 2 opportunities to be the Nevada State champion. Why should you get a third? So now we were in a predicament as they got into the ring. Shogun decided to come out and even the odds. And I think a lot of people thought at that point when Chris Bate came out, he was going to set up a tag team match. TBD, former tag team champions. And he's like, you know what? We had an open challenge. I see 3 guys in the ring and San Lu. Let's get it on. And, there was a point in the match where Shogun felt, hey, you know what? I'm here to win the match too. He may be my boy, but business is business. And, that's part of the reason why San Lu is no longer the Nevada State champion.
Right. And it was good to see Brett the Threat win a title.
Yeah, homegrown talent. He decided to leave the nest for a while. Was working in Best of the West and worked some, good companies out there. The one with Chris Hero, I forget something West Coast Pro.
Yeah, West Coast Pro. Yeah.
And, hung out with his boys, the Suavecitos. They got him in. And we've always said, we expect you to get out there. We expect you to work places. Maybe not working 5 shows in Vegas is really going to be beneficial, but getting out there, and that's what these guys did. And Brett the Threat came back with a different sense, got on Natural Born Killers, got a good opportunity there. And, he's looking forward to this. He's put together a little group in the Fight Club. Gabe Roca, who has looked tremendous. Colin Muldoon, who really, really has gotten a lot better under those guys' tutelage. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Brett the Threat will be at the 4th of July show, Liberty Mayhem, that we're going to do at the school. Everybody who has bought a ticket to the HyperX Arena 17th anniversary show, you get a free general admission ticket. We expect one of the biggest FSW arena shows of the year, next week, July 4th, 5 p.m. So, we got a lot of people on hand, WWE ID talent. This is just the start. We just wanted to get the flyer out. We got the heavyweight champ. We got the Nevada State champ. We got the No Limits champ. We got the former champ Ice Williams, and we got WWE ID's Veronica Haven. I was trying to put together a match where she was going to challenge Zamaya for the women's championship, but Zamaya is unavailable for that event. But she will be at the 25th at the HyperX.
Excellent. Speaking of heavyweight champions, here we go.
Speaking of heavyweight champions,
look at that.
Look at that little goatee with the little hair. I'm like, oh.
How you guys doing?
He knocked Bateman. He knocked Bateman's hair chin off right onto his face, man.
I know, right?
Damn,
transfer of the century.
Listen, Bodie. First, congratulations, of course.
Thank you so much.
Knows you are extremely proud of you getting to this point. It's pretty evident if you go back and you look at your evolution, right? Not just your in-ring style, the talent, putting things together in your head, understanding, learning, all that stuff, but the development of going from being a kid, starting in a kid's class, to being the heavyweight champion. That is something. And Joe, has anyone else done that?
Well, Sandra Moon became a women's champion with us. But right. FSW heavyweight champion is, that's the holy grail. We've talked about what that legacy of being the heavyweight champion is. We had a run where it was Cross, LA Knight, Brian Cage, Chris Bay, Hammerstone. You're talking the guys where that's the stamp of future stars of wrestling, where these guys, you're going to see them in even bigger platforms. And, he didn't get a chance, but he was the Nevada State champion, Solo Sikoa, and women's champion, Zoe Stark, now Zoe Serrano, who will be at our show August 22nd. But the thing is, there is importance in becoming the heavyweight champion, even all champions. Like, I have to see something in you, but the heavyweight championship, man, that's something that really you sit and think about, and you want to make sure that the right person's in the right spot. And here, even now, it's like I laugh every time I see the video, and it's Bodie when he was like just starting, and he just did like his little 450 onto the crash pad. And still in my mind, I always see that, like the little kid. And it's like to see where he comes, because, you see other people come in, and you see Bodie kind of like, running the show, talking to these guys, what we're looking for in the match. And he really knows how to put together things, because he has had this opportunity working with guys like Kenny King and training with them, and Chris Bay and Ice and all these guys, where Bodie at 14 or 15 and Remy Marcel, and being in the ring with these guys who didn't treat him just like this little kid. They treated him like a wrestler, like, oh shit, this guy's fucking good. I'm getting calls, Danny Limelight, he wants to run it back. You know what I mean? And it's like, how many people, want to work with Bodie, and I've seen the posts from guys like Danny and other people talking about, where he was. And I even see the pictures, and it's like, at that point, Bodie was probably maybe 16. And it's like people don't realize when he beat Danny Limelight at the Silverton, he was 16 years old.
Yeah, Bodie, just to talk a little bit about that evolution from going, from being in a kids class, evolving to getting those opportunities within the past 3-4 years to, getting to where you are now. What was that like for you to take that journey?
When I first started the kids class, I think I was just having fun, but unknowingly, I was getting prepared for the adult class. I was getting prepared for shows. I was having fun with the crash pad and whatnot, but little by little, I was learning all of the skills I needed to apply in the future. So when I came to the adult class, of course, it's like, oh, how's this gonna go? But, I was more than excited to jump into the adult classes, dive in and sit under the learning tree of guys like Remy Marcel, Kenny King. And over time, it became not so much obviously have fun, but it's about you have something special and we want you to be prepared because it's going to get difficult and the waters are going to get rough. But if you're a good sailor, however the phrase goes, I just said random words. So over time, I get put in these, I get thrown into the deep end, and it's a testament to me if I can swim or if I need little floaties.
Yep.
So, working with guys like Limelight for the No Limits Championship, getting in the ring with Chris Bay, most recently Leo Rush, Brian Cage. I think it's interesting to see my evolution, to see how I never once took a step down or felt the need to step out of the picture. I always kept moving up and moving forward, and it paid off.
Well, one of those testaments to that progression, and I think this is one of the things that a lot of guys, Joe and I have said this time and time again. It's one of the only places that you can walk in and see Zoe and Matt, and you got Tom Howard outside the ring watching it. You got Chris Bay watching it. You got all these people. And one of the things that every single one of them says about you is that you're a sponge. You listen to what's being told to you, you process it in your mind, and then you go out and you try to execute that to make yourself better. And that, Joe, I mean, how many people really does that take? Once that clicks, and some guys it might take 10 years for that to click. But here, when you say young prodigy, it's not bullshit. It literally shows how he's a prodigy at absorbing everything that's around him and offered to him.
Well, we go back to Diversion Amusement 2021 EC3 seminar. And that was a moment we wanted to have. And they did, EC3 put together some matches. And it was Nick Wayne, who at the time was 16 or 17, maybe. And then Bodie. So that was 5 years ago. So he was 14. And everybody was raving, about that. And we knew we kind of had that next young prodigy where he ended up taking the name. And I'll be honest with you, I was very, very protective and irritated a lot when Bodie would try to get other bookings and things like that, where we tried to protect him. We put him in tag team matches with Sin Bodie, and we put him in with Remy Marcel, because the idea at 14, 15, you're wrestling with the big boys, but we don't want you to be killing yourself at such a young age. And I hated when he was working these other places, because it was like, hey, we got the 14-year-old Bodie on our show, and he's going to get killed by their champ. And all it was a way to have that new hot prodigy young kid on our show. But it was like, you got to understand. And I tried to explain to him, like, hey, there's value in certain things. Like, yeah, when you got, and he got an opportunity, I remember, to work Alan Angels. I'm like 100%. That is a match that is only going to help you. But a lot of promoters, because he's a young kid, here's a few dollars, you're going to take, hey, I feel I'm worth something now. but they're not. But they're going to put you in with people that potentially could injure you, or aren't good enough to be even in the ring with you, and you got to put them over. And that's just the way of the business. And I understand that, but it was always trying to be protective and make sure that he got the best opportunity. And I wasn't always sure that these other companies were going to do that. So I remember being irritated a lot.
Bodie, in thinking about that, and be honest about it, those conversations at that age, I mean, was that something that when you went into other places that you took into consideration, but you still felt, I mean, listen, you got some opportunities, especially when GCW started giving you some, some tastes of their, company. Was it hard for you to process that and go, okay, I understand what Joe's saying, but at the same time, this is what I feel and this is what I'm trying to do?
At first, it was a bit hard to process, only because I just wanted to wrestle. You know what I mean? There was a point in time when I was training all 7 days of the week, and I know, right? Because I just wanted to be in the ring. So me wanting to be in the ring had me a bit tunnel visioned, and I didn't realize the big picture, that what I have to offer shouldn't be spoiled. It shouldn't be used just to benefit others within reason. So,
Right.
but over time, I'm started to understand that, you know what I mean. Me being
Yep.
me, it's something that it's a spectacle. So at first, I was like, oh, I just want to wrestle. It doesn't matter if I'm getting killed over here.
Right.
But now, especially me being the FSW heavyweight champion, I I think it'd be weird of me to say that I think the ring is sacred, but every time I step in that ring from now on, matter of fact, from ever since the year started, every time I step in the ring, it's go mode. It's something special. I don't play around anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have been noticing it in my matches. A lot of people ask, "Is BYP turning heel?" And I just have to say, "No, I'm just standing on business." You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
especially as we talk about evolution, the evolution definitely shows here that now I am more cognizant, and I take less risk.
Yeah. And that also, I got to say, one of the things that I think made the night perfect in terms of how, Joe, you set it up, and Bodie, how you executed it, was the in between after the ladder match. Your promo to Bateman was one of the most real things that a wrestler can hit in terms of raw emotion mixed with the character.
Hmm.
If that moment would have been botched in any way, it could have potentially brought it down. But anyone who knows the process, when you saw that promo, you're like, holy shit, we know what's about to happen. And it evolved you. You went from, in that moment, you went from cashing a case to that's the next champion, and we're going to see it within an hour and a half. That was phenomenal, man. And that is something that, Joe, when you think about the potential of Bodie now learning those skills and showing that character and bringing that mic up, man, I mean, now we're seeing limitless potential, right?
Well, I'm going to go behind the curtain a little bit. So as we opened the show, nobody made Ref Cody aware. The idea was to get everybody in the battle royal, and then we had the video,
Right.
and I went fucking nuts. Let me tell you something. It was a debacle. Okay, so now there's a video playing with Matt being interviewed about the match, and between
Right.
Bateman and Jay Vidal laying him out, these guys are now wrestling because the bell rang. I started screaming at the kid ringing the bell, like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, the referee told me to ring the bell. and it was like, it's Cody. And we have Cody and Romo. We have two of the best referees in the business that we are so lucky to have. That how the fuck did Cody not be told? But with everything going on, Ice, Chris, me, we're running around doing stuff. We all probably thought, let's use that word, assumed that one of us told the referee. And now the bell rings and we're screaming, trying to get people. It's like, at least look at the screen. You've seen it before. Battle royals have stopped numerous times because there's a big thing happening. And it was like nobody gave a crap. And it was like, even after Bodie won the match and made that announcement, like nobody was like, hey, what about Matt Vandergriff? Like, I'm not even sure anybody knows that Matt was like laid out. Like, in that position, do we know Matt's not going to appear in the match? And it's funny because it reminds me of one other incident that we had. There was an issue where Cross was the champion and Kevin had a Lucha Underground commitment. And he was supposed to wrestle maybe Matt Hardy or something like that. But we had a setup to where we did an interim champion. So we ended up doing, because Paulie Cover was the evil commish, he gave the belt, and basically we did a match. And it was Kenny King versus Matt Hardy for the interim title. The winner would wrestle Cross at the next show. Somehow, some way, Matt Hardy was going to win the match. Kenny hits a move. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. Matt doesn't kick out. We're like, what the fuck is going on? And then Paulie, as the commissioner, started beating up the ref, pulled off his shirt. He pulled it on. We restarted the match. Matt Hardy won. And none of the fans were like, oh, Kenny King got screwed. They were just happy that Matt Hardy was the champ. And it was like the same thing here. When Bodie said, I'm going for the title in the main event, it was weird because like nobody remembered that Matt Vandergriff was challenging. So it kind of saved the thing that people were like really caring about Bodie winning and Matt, when he came out, people seemed to cheer for that. So that was cool. But it was just a weird situation. And like I said, I was livid and I had to scream at everybody.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I literally didn't see a few matches. So I couldn't tell you. I heard the women's match was good. I heard the No Limits match was good. But somebody was like, oh, what did you think? I'm like, well, there was only 3 good matches on the show and Bodie was in 2 of them. So I guess he did pretty well for the night. Because I saw the whole Cash in the Case. I was in the, I was in the VIP suite for that one, and I liked the majority of that match, and then the heavyweight championship match. And the only other match that I saw that I really liked was G Sharp and Jay Vidal.
Sure, yeah, that was
it was a big moment, and it was like, but Bodie stood up. It's like, hey, let's give him that microphone. Let we all know he can wrestle. Now he's got to step up. And that's why it's interesting to me, because back in the day when he wrestled Danny Limelight, nobody's better on the mic. Bodie stayed away from the mic a little bit on that. But now,
I did, yep.
As the heavyweight champion, and a lot of people had. I remember when Limelight feud with Matt Vandergriff, and he ended up not doing the promo. It was like, hey, we need this promo, and all of a sudden he forgot. It was like, because you don't want to get blasted. But that's become maybe more so importance, because look at our roster: Jay Vidal, Gregory Sharp, Bateman, Bodie. You can name 20 other Shogun, Hero. There's a lot of people that could be our heavyweight champion. Believe me. And there's no other company. I'll put that on there, that our company, especially a company that runs based off a promotion from running a school. Yeah. There's nobody who has the talent that FSW has. So when we were discussing, who's next, and the idea with the Bateman and the G Sharp thing, Bateman was always considered a transitional champion because he was the guy that, because of that storyline, he fit the mold, and he needed to be sharp because of what we were doing with him and Jay Vidal. But it became, okay, who's that next baby face? And,
Yeah.
Shogun's been there, done that. What about Ice? What about Hero transitioning from the Nevada State? And what about Bodie? And there was a few different options. And, some of my inner circle, now that I have an inner circle of people who come in to discuss what they want to do, like, Brett the Thread has now given me 32 opponents he wants to wrestle over the next 3 weeks. But, it's understandable. I get the excitement. I get the immense appreciation that guys are feeling for that. But we're trying to put stuff together. And, July 4th, Bodie will be at the show. And the question is, right now, we don't have a number one contender for Bodie. So maybe we have a match to set up a number one contender, because we're right back July 25th at the HyperX. We need a marquee main event. So, right now, other than appearing, not sure what we're going to do yet in that situation, because at the anniversary show, we got Brett the Thread, who's got something new. Jaden Cole, has dispatched both of his opponents.
Yeah.
And Zamaya is a new women's champion. So this should have been called Ground Zero, because we're starting right now. It's all fresh.
Yeah.
So now opportunities, a Nick Xander who's come back, San Lu, who just lost to Nevada State, a Shogun who had a shot at Bateman. And there's people everywhere that would love the opportunity to wrestle Bodie, because there's some people who think, easy pickings.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
anymore.
We know better.
Yeah. How do you respond to that? Because that this, for as much as you've experienced throughout the last 3-4 years, there's always been a target on your back in the sense of, oh, that's the young kid, right? Oh, everyone's, talking about Bodie. We'll show him. Now it's like, you got something everyone wants, which is huge difference than just, you're a kid. Now it's, oh, shit, I got to defend this belt, and I got to live up to the expectations that, I've put myself in, because frankly, you are going to be a moving target, and it's going to be fascinating to see, because there are so many guys who could come at you right now that I'm sure Joe's even going like, what do I even do?
I forgot about Luke Curtis. I believe he's the last guy who's beaten Bodie, but he's been out with a concussion for over a month.
Yeah. What is that pressure like, man?
When I was No Limits champion, I understood it. You know what I mean? As much as I wanted to deny it and be like, "Oh, but I'm the champion," I had to come to terms that I am the kid. I am a 16-year-old champion. It's going to be more difficult to prove to the roster that I can hold on to this title. But I think, as we talk about evolution, now it's different, because at least I'll say, I hope people can agree with me. I've stepped up my game in every single way, in every single aspect. So I think this title is different from the No Limits, that when I was No Limits champion, maybe I was the easy champion. But now that I'm the FSW heavyweight champion, you might have to pick a different champion to go for, because you see it in my matches, the increased physicality. I can fly more. I'm in the gym. I'm growing out a goatee. What does that tell you? So if people see me as the easy champion, I'll let them. But when they get in the ring with the walking talking cheat code, that's not the case, and they're going to find that out pretty soon. So yes, there are a lot of people that want to face BYP, and I'll just say bring them on, but steer clear.
Well, here's a quick list. We got Duke, who defeated Bodie,
I learned my
Nevada State
lesson.
Championship. That was last year, I believe.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
We have Juicy back in the fold. We got a Bryce Saturn who tore it up with Bodie. Really like to see that match again.
Yep.
You got some big guys, like I said, with Duke and Juicy. We got Luke Curtis, who Bodie knows very well. Then I just got an email, and I'm trying to put it together. Jesse Funaki hit me up.
Oh,
There we go.
I'm aware of him, but not really aware of him. And he offered to get himself here. Would just love an opportunity to work FSW. So I hit up Chris Bay, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of Funaki? He's like, out of the second generation talents, he's definitely one of the top. If he wants to come out here, he goes, him and Bodie tearing it up. And that's why it's like, yeah, we have to set up for July 25th and possible number one contender. But if I can get Funaki out here for the 4th of July show, that's what I am currently working on. And again, I'm not going to bullshit nothing. I ain't going to make things up. But if, he can get out here, I'll get him the room. I'll get him a decent payday. But hey, I didn't realize he worked some TNA. He's I know he works for Booker, definitely a talented dude. So it's like at 19, I know Bodie wants to work every show he can. If he's around July 4th, yeah, that's great to be on the show, but he wants to prove, he's a fighting champion. He's the FSW heavyweight champ. Line him up, and I know. So it's like most likely, especially on that 4th of July show, because it's probably going to be the biggest FSW arena show of the year, because I've already got, half a front row. Can't really say sold out because it's free tickets. It's a $10 upgrade. So all our regulars for $10 are going to come to that show unless they have major plans. But right now, everybody's hitting me up. Oh, we need, put us down. We're going to be turning people away for this one. So why wouldn't we spotlight our champion on there? So Jesse Funaki's an option for you there, buddy.
Sounds great. I mean, I've been preaching it a lot as of late to get in the ring with people that either are better than you or people that will teach you things. So, I've worked guys like Duke where basically I have to run circles around him, and if I get caught, I'm going to sleep. But Jesse Funaki, for an example, he can go. He is quick. He's agile, just like myself. So that is definitely an interesting match that I'm curious how that's going to go, along with the crowd, when you have two young guys.
Email him right now while we're talking.
All right. I have no problem with that, because when I won the heavyweight championship, the first thing I thought to myself is, what can I do to elevate this title? Because we talk about guys who held this title: Cross, Bay, Matt Hardy, Ice, Kenny King. Literally, like, you can go down the list. Look at any major promotion on TV, and someone held the FSW Heavyweight Championship. So it puts a little bit of pressure on me. But I mean, BYP doesn't feel pressure. But I want to do everything I can to show that this title is truly prestigious. This might be the most important title on the West Coast, in the entire United States. So wrestling Jesse Funaki would be an honor. Wrestling Jesse Funaki would be something that turns heads. But I mean, every BYP match is turning heads.
Who doesn't want to see Ice Williams versus Bodie? Who doesn't want to see Hammerstone?
That was something I literally, I was just thinking about that the other day, that Ice Williams, he obviously works within Lights Camera Faction, but Ice Williams is a franchise player. Ice Williams is one of the faces of FSW, and I have now submitted my legacy as the face of the company. And because you think about the Henderson Silver Knights, me and Ice team up. We had a little back and forth in there, but then we teamed up. You talk about the San Diego Seals and the LAX Rumble. We teamed up, and we both
Brian
made it to the final
Cage
five.
versus BYP, brother.
The names just keep on going that I've had these interactions with people, not a match, just interactions, or just I've wrestled Ice Williams in tag matches, in scrambles, never one-on-one. I've trained with Brian Cage. He eliminated me in the Rumble.
Yeah.
What would happen if we go one-on-one? And that's what I want to do with the FSW Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Listen, there's one guy that stands out that I think would be.
What about Killer Cross or Killer Cross's mentee, Stephen Gipke?
I mean,
Yeah.
Stephen Gipke got a win at the Mecca, so what could that mean
Yeah.
for his future? Cross highly
Yeah.
puts him over. So if Cross is giving you the praise and I'm doing what I'm doing, great recipe.
But Bodie just gave me an idea. Back when I
Okay.
was younger, when I was a kid, George Foreman was on Why World of Sports. He was the heavyweight champion. This would be the exact opposite version. So George Foreman had to beat like 5 guys in the same night in a boxing match, but they were all tomato cans. Imagine we do a gauntlet match with Bodie versus Juicy, Duke, Bryce Saturn, Ice
Be-
Williams, and Hammerstone.
You know what? Line them up, knock them down. Yes, sir.
I would love to see TJP and Bodie.
TJP. He's our trainer now. I know, but you know, they are TJBYP.
Right.
Very successful.
You know,
Undefeated tag team in FSW.
right.
They're
Oh,
like
that
number one
gauntlet.
contenders for the tag titles too.
Maybe.
How
Yeah, that
about
gauntlet is giving
how
me
about
ideas.
Jaden Cole wants to do option B, put the No Limits title, the 2 young guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what's so great about FSW, the endless options, people of ranging experiences, ranging television time. That gauntlet might gives me a little bit of chills, but
You know, I don't have
never
to
know.
book anybody else. That'll be the whole show.
Cross is the 6th and final entrant.
There you go. Surprise entry after you beat Hammerstone. You know, I saw, I was looking at the ending of the show and I saw your good friend, your pal, Nick Xander didn't seem to be that excited for you.
I did see that. And that's interesting because, I did beat Nick Xander to qualify for
Great
the Catch
match.
Case
It
ladder
was
match.
the match of the night.
And after that match, I tried to check on Nick Xander, and he brushed me off. So, it's tough because a lot of my opponents have been friends of mine. Me and Jaden Cole fought for the Future Legends Championship, and I had to do what I had to do and beat Jaden Cole. So I beat Nick Xander, and I can understand why he's not happy for me. But considering I've known him for 6 years now, I was there to ensure that he became the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
We've traveled together. We
He was
faced
at
each other
Bodie's
in other promotions.
12th birthday party. Come on.
He was there for my bar mitzvah. So he's currently upset, and I tried to talk to him, but he hasn't gotten back to me. I understand it, but also I don't, because friends are supposed to be there for their friends. So if I see Nick Xander down the line, I'm going to do what I have to do, but I need to know where he's coming from.
Well, maybe he's disappointed after it looked like he was going to win the Battle Royal for that final spot. Of all people, the Jester, shocking the
Jester.
world, the Jester got into the Battle Royal. Like, I think Nick Xander, and you got to blame him, because I think when he threw out Mondo, he pretty much thought he won the match.
Yep.
Correct.
And, little trickery I saw from the Asylum as they stayed there, and they were basically the bridge. Kind of like, Jester, of course, has none of the athleticism of Kofi Kingston, so he couldn't have like levitated, but he basically robbed Nick Xander of the win. Nick Xander won the match if the Asylum wasn't still at ringside.
Right.
Yeah, and congrats to
So,
the Jester. Yeah.
yeah, Nick Xander almost beat you. We're going to call him almost Nick Xander, because, I could see the fact that, wow, I had Bodie beat. Oh, could have went either way. That's my spot. So,
Right.
Obviously opportunities are there. And a guy like Nick, who was gone for a while, and he's kind of come back. And guys like Bodie were the first to be like, man, excited that Nick was coming back at No Escape for the scramble match.
Yeah.
We needed a guy.
Yeah.
And
and speaking of people who, if we are honest about it, even though Matt came out and made sure that there was no interference in that match, Matt did not get his title shot that night.
He did not. But Matt demanded on July 25th a one-on-one with Jay Vidal.
Sure.
And we know Bodie and Matt, they've had some classics themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, in this world of 2026, it really doesn't matter, baby face, heel, good guy, bad guy. It's the heavyweight title. The idea is to have the best matches possible. Yep. Right now, off the top of my head, I could make a list of probably 15 to 20 people that FSW utilizes that'd be like, oh, yeah, Matt and Bodie. Oh, that'd be great. Hammerstone and Bodie. Oh, Brian Cage and Bodie. Ice and Bodie.
Right.
Saturn and Bodie. Bateman in a rematch. Jay Vidal and Bodie.
Yeah.
They've had their runs. Danny Limelight and Bodie.
Yep. And
Luke Curtis and Bodie.
And let's not forget too, I do remember over a year ago there was at the Chris Bay show. I remember MK getting gored through a door because of Bodie, essentially. So I wouldn't be surprised if MK has that whole army just gunning for you, man.
Yeah, I've gotten some inklings that maybe before Survival of the Fittest, but MK's very close friend, Sam Adonis, is looking to return to FSW.
Damn.
Alrighty.
That'd be a nice match too.
So, it's funny because yesterday I got hit up Matthias, who I like. He did the stuff in San Diego, very talented. And I had told him, I'm like, we can't really do anything until after the, anniversaries. And, he sends me a message. Hey, bro, really love to come back. And it's like, it's understandable, but it's like, dude, it just isn't that easy. There's so much going on. It's so hard because, okay, it's like, who are all these people that are available? And it's like, okay, so I got Bodie. I got Brett the Threat. I got Jaden Cole. I got Veronica Haven. That's 4 matches already that I have to have unless the champion's wrestling another champion, which isn't the plan right now. I talked with Ice Williams. He's going to be on the show. We actually booked the first match. It's going to be a 6-man tag, and it's going to be Lights, Camera, Faction versus the Asylum. So They're stepping up and getting a great opportunity.
Nice.
And, the Mariachis said they're available. They'd hit me up. Because, again, it's 4th of July. I understand there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is a special show. It's pretty much a 75% free show because if everybody from the HyperX comes to the FSW arena and takes their free general admission ticket, we will be having about 100 people in the entryway because we had almost 400 people at the anniversary show.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, going into that week I thought, man, we're looking a little light for the anniversary show. And then all of a sudden, shoom, and between the wrestlers and guys like Bodie and C4 and AJ Avon, and of course Dave Mazzani, selling 8 front row and 25 general admissions, 33. We got to over 400 people.
Yeah.
Now, I said it's free admission. So we may have to take the ring, since it's at 5 o'clock, and put it in the alley and let everybody stand around the alley and watch the show.
Have a fight club?
There you go. That would be Brett the Threat's group. So.
Well, I mean, and Bodie, we give you an opportunity to grill up some hot dogs and hamburgers too.
And that's what we're working on too. So,
when you think about that and all these potential opportunities and all the opportunities you've been getting, especially like a guy like Leo Rush, right? Where do you see, like, if there's someone right now that you're looking around and you're going, okay, whether it's someone that you've come across on another show that you've done, or buzz from what you've seen in the independents out, not only west, but around the country, is there someone that has your attention where you're like, Joe, if we were able to do this match, this would be something I would be very interested in doing?
Funny enough, I wrote a list.
Oh,
I know Joe.
I
know Joe loves his lists.
I love lists
of 30 wrestlers on a list. Here's the way I look at it. Because, of course, I would be more than willing to do a match that, regardless of how it goes in the ring, it's a match that turns heads, that gets people watching. Me and Leo Rush, people turned heads not only because of the two guys in the match, but because they knew both guys can go crazy. So as much as I'm willing to have a match with someone that might not be like you consider the best technician, but it's a match that sells tickets. So that's something I also had to take into account. But also,
I heard Beans was on top of your list.
he did help Ice Williams help Bryce Saturn get off the ladder to help me win.
Well, there you go.
So when I think about opponents that I want to face, not only do I think can it sell tickets as I look it on a flyer, but is it someone that inspires me? Because I like being inspired. I like, because I'll go to training every now and then, and I'll just kind of just sit there and just be like, was it worth me coming here and sweating for 3 hours? Because I want to be inspired. That's why I enjoy working with guys like Chris Bay and Jaden Cole and all of those, because they inspire me. So looking at this list, because a lot of the names we have already discussed, I wrote down TJP because trainer, student, that's always something that inspires me to show my trainer that this wasn't all a waste. I already wrote down Jay Vidal and Ice Williams. I wrote down Cage. Maybe some interesting names that actually before that. I wrote down Marcus Mathers.
Oh yeah.
Same case where we've met in a fatal 4-way, never in a singles match, but who knows what could happen in that match. I already wrote down Bryce Saturn. I wrote down Gabe Roca. We met in a triple threat, and he Germaned me without me even knowing it was happening. He got behind me, and next thing you know, I'm in the air. Some names I wrote down: Brody Lee Jr.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chris Bay,
Chris Bay knows it very well. So
we both are BYPs. I'm Bodie Young Prodigy, and he's Brody Young Prodigy. So that's something that, like a Jesse Funaki, even though Jesse Funaki hasn't been wrestling for quite that long, that's a match that turns heads.
I'm going to interrupt you quickly. You better not do Brody Lee Jr. at GCW before we get the chance, all right?
Yeah, no shit.
All right. I don't think GCW likes me enough to do that match.
I know Brett likes you.
Yeah.
I hope, because I'm going there this weekend, so I hope he likes me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put in the word. Hey, Brett, Bodie's my champ now. Could we not get him hung by Manders?
Mance, yeah, Mance
Oh,
Warner
Mance Warner, whoever it
literally,
was. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
he had the bull rope and literally threw me over with the noose.
wow, that was
Yeah, I'm lucky to still be here today.
yes.
I wrote
Jeez.
down guys that live in Vegas, like Fabian Eichner,
Oh
lives
yeah.
on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, me and him have got some training in. Joe, I don't know if this person spoke to you, but I got a message from a Zoe Serrano saying that if Joe is interested, that we can run it one day.
How about that, Joe?
That is definitely an interesting possibility because
I'm
Zoe's
no
had
Vinny
really good
Wasco.
matches. Huh?
I'm no Vinny Wasco.
Zoe and Matt Vandergriff was excellent. Zoe and Jay
Yeah.
Vidal was excellent. So,
Mm-hmm.
Zoe's in a different class. There's really, really good women wrestlers that I'm not ever against the intergender matches, but I feel they need to make sense.
Of
Like,
course, yes.
no offense, but Maserati versus Brian Cage is not something I'd want to see. But
It's not.
Bodie and Zoe would be great.
Yep. And then, because a lot of the names I wrote down, some just live on the West Coast, some live in Vegas. I wrote down some unrealistic names. Like, I'm a big fan of Michael Oku
Oh
in the
yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
Same thing with a Joe Lando. I wrote
Yeah.
down
Shit.
R.I.P. Jarrell Nelson because he's not around anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down Royce. Royce commented on one of my Instagram
I've been
posts.
talking with Royce. I know he's interested in working with Brett the Threat. So
He commented on one of my Instagram posts once saying, "I want to wrestle you," and I'm like, as long as I inherit the 1% if I win.
yeah. Well, actually, I own the 1% name. So
Oh boy, here we go.
If I beat
Yeah.
Royce, can I be the 1%?
yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I mean, again, there's guys who come around here because they have the lineage and history, but I would love to see a guy like Tito Escondido
Yeah.
and Bodie. Shit, man.
Yeah, I encountered him and Che in the Rumble. Even just getting stomped out in the corner, I'm like, oh man, if this ever turned into a match. And
Shit.
yeah, that's something that I love about pro wrestling, that
Yep.
just one way or another, you are going to like be in the same presence or the same ring. Like the other night, I was at Championship Wrestling, and both Tito and Che were there. Che's a very nice guy, but Che can throw me around just as easy as Duke did.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Shit.
like that's something that I definitely thought about when I won the heavyweight championship, that I'm going to be eventually facing guys that not only are bigger than me, but guys that are more well known than me. So I need to show everyone that me being champion is not a fluke. You know what I mean? I gotta basically pick up the slack if there even is any, because I am the person to be in FSW, the FSW heavyweight champion. So am I, when I'm at training, am I showing everyone like how to properly do things?
Sure.
Is my social media on point? Are my matches on point? Am I doing what a champion should be doing? So when you mention a Tito, I need to show Tito, and in that case, show everyone that I'm not, it's not like, oh, you got to give Bodie the win just because he's the champ. It's,
Right.
yeah, Bodie can win that match.
Right. And I think, and a big part of that too is, you know, you're going to have a target in general on your back for a little bit, because you are in that transitioning ages, right? You're going from one body type and one, thought of as a young kid, and now you are delivering as a pro, right? And so going in with guys like that, Hammerstone, Tito, you're talking about guys who they're laying it in, man. There's no bullshit there, right? So that's the cool thing about this, is that you're about to prove that it's like, hey man, snug, good, I can work. Let's do this because I'm not just 450 flipping onto a fucking mat here. I'm fucking literally like, let's go. Let's fucking do this. And I
Yeah,
think that's the exciting thing, man.
Hey,
I
the
definitely agree.
language. We got a kid here. You know what I mean?
Man, I'm a grown man now, but I
Yeah.
definitely agree with what you're saying because, um, I mean, not everyone likes snug as a bug in a rug, but I think something I personally like about that is that it makes me earn it. Like for an example,
Yes.
Danny Limelight, me and him were going back and forth for 6 months straight before we had our No Limits Championship match, and every time we were in the ring, he would beat the living hell out of me. Like I remember one time he gave me those chest kicks, and the next thing you know, I have a muscle knot in my chest. You know what I mean? So, but
Shit.
also, would I be your no limits champion if I didn't have to go through the ringer by Limelight? Because if Limelight took it easy on me, I wouldn't understand what it means to be a champion. So, same thing with Bateman the other night.
Yeah.
Is not for the weak. You know what I
No.
mean? But also, when I'm getting completely hit in the face, I'm laying on that ground thinking to myself, like, yeah, that wasn't comfy, but also that gives me every right to get up, fight back. And I think that's what made my No Limits Championship wins and my FSW Heavyweight Championship win mean a whole lot more because I got put through the ringer. I got fall away slammed through a ladder by Duke not even
Jesus
an
Christ.
hour earlier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that looked really good from up in the VIP suite. I was like, oh,
yeah, I hadn't taken a bump on a ladder that entire match. And of course, at the end of the match, Duke. So that's something I think about a lot where
Yeah.
I think me getting hit is vital to me becoming the walking, talking cheat code.
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Absolutely.
bad news. Jesse Funaki is not available July 4th. Uh,
Ah,
but
Joe.
we're working on it. Don't worry. But again, that's a week away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
but I figured I would take the shot and see. So we'll figure something
Next
out
thing you
for the
know, he
fourth.
does a run in on the July 25th show, and they're like, "Who's that
Maybe, yeah.
guy?"
Yeah, fly in, do a run in, and then fly in again to Roker Match. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, Joe, when you're looking at this now, like you said, it's kind of ground zero. It's kind of a reset now because you're looking around and you've got mariachis, of course, retained, but you know it's still young blood with them, and then you've got now Brett with the Nevada State and Jaden with the No Limits and Samaya with the Women's Championship. You have Jeffrey Excellence with the
Shout out
Future.
Jeffrey Excellence.
Yeah,
Yes, the new Future Shock champion. And then we have Future Shock July 11th. So there's definitely
Good
going
to
to
know.
be some people vying for the opportunity. And again, even with Future Shock, that's how deep the roster is. We
yeah,
can go there and Oliver could get a rematch. Gabe Roca's tremendous.
yeah,
You know, Davion almost had him beat. You know, Brandon G,
yep,
C4, Ricky Tenacious. So, and Matthias. You got a lot of those
yeah,
guys from out of state who are usually higher level than the future shot guys, but that's the only opportunity they're going to get. So they're all trying to at least get on future shock, and that's how guys like Class. And there's a guy for Bodie. You know,
yeah,
Evan Reno's gone. Class is throwing his hat in the ring. Former Nevada State champion.
yeah.
So you know there's so many guys available, and Zoe may want a shot at the FSW heavyweight championship.
Yeah, that's something I actually want to point out. A lot of people won't give it credit, but the Future Shock roster is way deeper than we think because
Yeah.
a lot of these guys we have put on the main shows and they have excelled like a Jester. You know what I mean? Jester is a Future Shock native and he ends up in a ladder match with former No Limits champions, future heavyweight champions, former
Yep.
tag champs, the Pain Train. No introduction needed. and Jester excelled. Unfortunately, he got a ladder drop kicked into his face, and now he's talking about his head hurts and something about his brain. But still, the Jester came into that match after just going through a grueling battle royal. Battle royals are more grueling than you think,
Yep.
and he was hanging. He dropped Dante King spine first on the edge of the ladder. I was sitting like 5 feet away, like
Oh,
Well,
so.
yeah,
The Future
battle
Shock
royals
roster.
are tough when somebody's doing snap suplexes from the second rope.
But yeah, the Future Shock roster is
yeah.
more deep than you think, especially an Oliver Kennedy who's making all these news
Yeah,
appearances.
we've
Jeffrey
kind of
Excellence.
it's been built into its own show because
Yeah.
with the family and friends that are coming out to support, man, some of our best crowds are at Future Shock,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what, some of the best crowd responses is on Future Shock because
True.
a lot of these fans they're just being introduced to wrestling. They don't really know it. They're fans that maybe caught some stuff. The older ones are like, yeah, we know Hulk Hogan and The Rock and stuff like that, and they
Yeah.
see it up close and personal. And then there's a good chance a lot of these people end up buying tickets for the regular shows because they actually become fans of it.
Right.
Future Shock July 11th. Okay.
Yeah. And that's
You know?
and that's one thing I think, Bodie, that you've been good at doing. Matt would do it. You've seen guys like Watson and Sharp, and that is giving some of these guys on Future Shock that opportunity to wrestle you guys, which
For sure, yeah, especially with the Future Legends Championship. Even though that's not an FSW title or a Future Shock title, it's just a United States title. I mean, if I take it out of the country, but
right.
yeah, that's a title that basically, if you're younger than 25, you can compete for it. So I faced Sean Logan, who that was in Chicago. I faced Oliver Kennedy, Jaden Cole, Muldoon. I faced R.J. Wild. And I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but I was hearing murmurs at the anniversary show that potentially there's a Team Future Shock at Survival of the Fittest. And as we were just talking about how talented some of these guys are, you could potentially see me in the ring against a Exility Josh. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
Who does a spiral tap? I don't even do spiral taps. You know,
Yeah.
new
There's
champ Jeff.
definitely a good opportunity for a Team Future Shock, but I think Bodie will be doing his own thing, survival of the fittest. But
One
I'd
way or
love,
another, I'll meet these guys down the road.
Yeah.
yeah, let them earn that spot,
Exactly.
just like Bodie had to do.
Yeah, well, that's the I think that's the lesson here. The overall lesson is, you know, you've put out the blueprint for potential the next 5-10 years of guys who want to just like Chris Bay did for you. You know, I mean, Chris Bay really set that blueprint for you. We
I
can
have the Chris Bay shirt on right now.
see. Yeah, and I think that's the lineage, right? That's what we're looking at, and that's the exciting thing right now, is that there's a guy who's probably, if they're not there yet, they're a year away or something, that's going to follow that same lineage and do the same thing you guys did, because you guys are setting the example and setting that blueprint, and that's
Well, we have a couple now. Louis is just 16, and Louis has been working a lot of the Future Shocks. He got to be in the Battle Royal.
The Young
Uh,
Guns.
you know,
yeah,
Dad's like 15, and he's getting to be in the adult class because he's progressed enough that we feel it's okay to give them an opportunity. And Josh is young, and Kevin is young, and we got a lot of people under 20 years of age. Most people don't realize Demir's like 21, right? I think
hmm
yeah,
he's dumb, but he's
And
still talented.
yep, and as you mentioned, you never know, in 1 year, 2 years, less than 5 years, one of these guys that we're talking about now could be in some either close to or the current position that I am in because of just
yep,
hard work alone. Like
yep,
for an example, a C4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
C4 sold tickets. C4 was explosive. C4 threw people head over heels. And it's no wonder why we have C4 on the HyperX Arena shows now.
Yep.
We had the Asylum semi-main event. Was it the first HyperX Arena show or
I believe the second one.
Second one. Yeah.
yes, we had the Asylum semi-main event, a HyperX Arena show because of the hard work.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and it just goes to show again. Joe, you've said it time and time again. Show up, do what you're asked to do, make face, and get to class, and you will eventually get those opportunities.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody wants to blame me or blame things for it, but Bodie knows when he's in class, he sees who puts in the work. When you're at levels of like Bodie and Ice, and they're there more than you, that means you probably don't have that passion and you don't have that desire, because it's like, wow, when I wanted to try to really get on shows, man, I was there as often as I can be. And I barely see those guys. We talk about setups and breakdowns, and Bodie, knows where he came from. But, if Bodie passes on a setup, nobody's going to give him grief. But when he's able to make it, he's there. Jaden Cole's there to do it. Why are certain people that are barely on shows never there? And then act like it's my fault that they aren't in a certain situation or position that they feel that they're deserving of. And it's like, man, you want to make it easy. Go ask a peer, go ask an Ice Williams, go ask a Chris Bay, go ask a Bodie, go ask, the faction, and they'll be the ones who'll tell you the same thing that I would be telling you. But when I tell you I'm an asshole, when they tell you it's constructive criticism.
Yep. And that's been tough because I have spoken to a few people about like what can they do, and they have a lot of things going on in their day to day, and I'm like, that is very tough, but also if you want this to be your life, you have to make some sacrifices, and obviously there's certain things you can't escape, or there's certain things you just can't, you know what I mean? Work is just a pain in the ass, but a lot of this requires sacrifice, and especially in training, because as of late, I train a little bit less. I try to bump a little bit less, but because I was just week in and week out, multiple times a week, just going in there and just fighting tooth and nail, just because I wanted to get better at my craft. So nowadays it's obviously there's more avenues, but it's, if you want to make it, you have to show that you're willing to get your hands dirty to do it.
Yeah, and you have,
and then you get rewarded. And then guys like Ice Williams, who now are in that inner circle, and when they have ideas, or when I'm thinking about where we're looking to go, and I think one of the first conversations may have been Ice about positioning Bodie as a future heavyweight champion, as we're discussing things. There's a small group that have been with me, and the longer you're with me, you earn my trust. I'm not going to listen. There's certain people that, they're good and they've held championships, but they still questioned. And it's like, well, why does he and not me? And it's like, because you're never around. You only care about yourself. That's cool that you're going to show up at Channel 8 at 4 a.m. because you're going to be on TV. And we do need people there. So we appreciate you being there. But when we need something that there isn't a spotlight for you on, you're never around to be there.
Yeah.
And, it's easy if you are, the skill level of Cross compared to some guy just breaking in. Sure that you're going to get the spot over somebody. But if you're close to equal value with that person, the person who goes out of their way and makes themselves available to us, again, a lot of times there's 3 spots and there's 7 people and there's 7 qualified people. So why would I give it to the person who never shows up to help over a Jeffrey Excellence, who generally is always around to help? Hey, we got to set up for a different show, so there's no benefit of FSW, but you're still being helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So as we kind of look here to wrap up, what are your thoughts now, Bodie? Like, this, one of the fascinating things, go back and watch the match, and you'll see something that you did that you didn't. I don't think you even realized. Right before you went to cover, it hits you that you're about to pin him, and you could see that in your face. Like that moment hit you right before you covered him, and it was just like, holy shit! There's the realization that it's actually happening, and it was like, that was fucking just brilliant. And again, the fans don't see that, but when you're looking through certain eyes, and you know what that means to that person at that moment, that was incredible.
Yeah, when I hit the 450, or as I like to call it, the 4-5 bow, I blink, you know, and the 450, it, contrary to what people think, it hurts to hit it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm doing it and I can do it often, it hurts to do it. So when I do it, I blink, and sometimes I don't know if I landed on a person, or if I completely missed the person, or
Right.
if they moved out of the way and there's no pool in the water.
Right.
So I hit that 450. I pop up. I'm like, oh man, my ribs. And I look, and Bateman is a corpse. And I'm like, I did it. And the last person to kick out of a 450 was like 4 years ago, when I was barely 130 pounds.
Right.
So no one has kicked out of the 450 in quite some time. And even when people could kick out of the 450, I think I could count it on my hand of people that kicked out of it. So when I hit it, I was like, it's over. When I flipped him over, I'm like, is someone going to kick out of the 450? Or did I just seal the deal? Especially when I hit the most sought after aerodynamic glass shattering move in all of pro wrestling, the Bipper Dipper, and I yanked Bateman off of the Tree of Woe. I was like, he's in the splash zone, and some people get up, others don't. Like in Nick Xander, for an example, he tried to get up, but he just couldn't muster up the strength, and it was 4-5 boom. So I watch all of my matches back so many times. I think I watched me and Bateman 5 times already, and every time I watch it as a wrestler, I watch it as a fan, I watch it as a promoter, and every time I notice certain things, and I'm like, I did it. Just those 3 words, I did it. And I did a few interviews backstage after the show, and there's always two sides to me when it comes to how I feel, because there's a side of me that's grateful for all the opportunities and grateful to be in this position and excited to bring in the future and the future stars of wrestling. But also, there's a side of me that says, I did it. I worked for it. I did it. I am the blueprint. I did it and knew.
Yeah. Joe, final thoughts. Does this rank up there with when you saw Chris Bay, when you saw Hammerstone, when you saw Cross, win these championships, even Ice and Greg Sharp? I mean, you know, how does this stack up with all these guys who have come so far and finally get to that peak?
You know, it's always a special moment, especially Bodie. He was in our kids class. He was 8 years old, 9 years old. For 3-4 years. I only saw him in the kids class. And then I always remember the mom was like, "It's probably 4 or 5 years of doing it," and it's like it's fun, but he's done everything in it. Is there any way we can see if he could be in the adult class? And if I remember correctly, I think it was like what we said, you could do like one day a week. and you started from there, and then you progress. But everybody who kind of started with us, and especially with me, I see the growth. Obviously, his was the longest. You know, only Gregory Sharp took longer to win the heavyweight championship from training. It probably
Yeah.
took him 12 years. You know, he was 19 when he started, and he finally won the title.
Yeah.
You know, but whether it's Bodie, whether it was Hammerstone, it was like you see people how hard they worked and how much better they become and work for it. And after a while, you realize who's going to be that guy, because the great thing about wrestling is you don't have to be a 300-pound monster, and yet that's the only chance you have to be the heavyweight champion. We've had Chris Bay, who walked through my doors at 5'6" and 150 pounds. You know, when Bodie started, he was barely 50 pounds. You know what I mean? So, you know, watching that happen is always, you know, a great moment, because in most cases, the guys who've won the FSW heavyweight championship, even if they came from somewhere else, they're FSW guys.
Yeah.
They're FSW women. The talent that we have, you know, it's special. Like I said, Bodie has a lot to live up to as the FSW heavyweight champion. So many of our talent has gone on to, you know, bigger and better things. And as much as I like to put over FSW, yeah, we understand, you know, being the TNA champion or being an AEW champion, WWE, that's the ultimate goal in wrestling. So Bodie is, I believe this is Bodie's first company championship. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, because there's been like singles titles, but this is definitely the first title I've won that says
the main title,
the number one, the main.
Yes.
Yes, this is my first main title of a company.
Yeah. So don't be losing it on the 4th already. You know what I mean?
That's if I even am.
We don't want Tom to count you out because you didn't kick out in time.
That's a different story.
Oh no. Oh man. All right, Bodie, thank you for joining us. Joe, again, always a pleasure. And remember, July 4th is
Thank you
coming
for having
up.
me.
Yeah, of course. 5 p.m.
Tell your mom, free ticket.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm already sending out the text.
There you go.
There we go.
All righty,
All
July
right,
4th. See you guys there.
There we go. We'll see you on July 4th, and we'll see everyone out there. Until next week, everyone, happy wrestling.